Alright, hey, Hazemig here. It's another Honda Super Cub video. So in this video, we'll be inspecting the spark plug, alright? So we'll be inspecting it, and pretty much we could change it if we wanted to, alright? But Hazemig is not going to change it because I'm not at that interval where I have to change it, okay? I did buy a different spark plug for it, so we'll take a look at that. And then yeah, so it should be pretty easy, so let's hop to it. Okay, before we get in the nitty-gritty of it, let's go check out some reading material. Alright, so here in page 80 of the owner's manual, the owner's manual is actually a little bit different than the service manual, guys. So it shows you how to remove it. It should be pretty easy. I'm not even really going to go over it, guys. But yeah, so it says to inspect the electrodes, center porcelain for deposits, erosions, or carbon fouling. If there's erosions or heavy deposits, replace it. Clean a carbon or wet fouled plug with plug cleaner, otherwise use a wire brush. If you have to clean it, just replace it, guys. There's only one freaking spark plug, and it's not very expensive, guys. And it's easy to do, so might as well just change it, alright, instead of cleaning it. Okay, so yeah, to inspect the gap, you're going to use a feeler gauge, alright, just like this guy right here, okay. So the spec is 0.8 to 0.9 millimeters or 0.03 to 0.04 inches, alright. So I've got a 0.030 feeler gauge right here on the left, and then a 0.010 on the right. So I don't have a 0.04, okay, I don't have a 0.04. So what we're going to do is combine the 0.10 and the 0.30, and then we got a 0.04, okay? So it should be less than this, but more than this one, okay? Got it? Okay, and then the spark plug that I will be installing when it's time to replace the spark plug is this NGK Iridium IX plug, okay? Supposedly this is an upgrade plug for the Super Cub. I did notice it is one heat range cooler, okay? So supposedly, from what I heard, alright, and we'll go over the different spark plugs that you can use on this bike. What I heard is that if you're running wide open throttle all the time, like pretty much Hazemig does, and pretty much every Super Cub owner, I think, you know, you want to upgrade to a cooler plug, alright, so it keeps the plug cooler, alright. Because you're running the engine pretty hard is what I want to say. It's winter time right now, maybe not so much, but it is an air-cooled engine. But yeah, if you're flogging the bike pretty bad, and if you have like modifications that make the bike make more power, it's a good idea to go to a cooler plug. So I'm gonna try this out when that time comes along. All right, but I'm not gonna install this right now. All right. If you guys want to see what it looks like, so this is the spark plug that I got. I got this from Steady Garage. I forgot how much I paid for it, but I think it's like less than $10. So it's an NGK plug. It's part number CPR 7EAIX-9. All right, and it's 9198 is the kind of another number right there. Okay, so the 7 right here. Okay, the CPR 7. It tells you what the heat number is, all right, for the heat range, all right. So the stock heat range is 6, all right, and you'll see that right here, okay. So if you look at the specifications for the spark plugs, you can use an NGK spark plug, CPR 6EA-9, all right, or a Denso, it'll be a U20 EPR9, all right. So if you get a Denso one, all right. So it says CPR 6 here, so that means that's the stock heat range plug right there, okay, is 6. So this one is a 7. The higher the number, the cooler the spark plug, okay. So CPR 7, this one is a CPR 6. So yeah, if you ride your Super Cub pretty hard like Hazemig, and then you're ripping it on the freeway, doing deliveries and stuff, doing DoorDash, then you probably might want to try the hotter heat range one. Well, Hazemig is going to give it a try. Also, Iridium plugs are provide better spark, and they last longer than your traditional copper kind of plug. Okay, the only one that lasts longer than it is like a platinum one. Okay. All right, so let's just go get the spark plug. All right, here we go. Okay, before we dive into it, let's go take a look at the maintenance intervals for the spark plug, alright? So spark plug is right here. Spark plug. All right, so it says at 4,000 miles we inspect. All right, so Hades Mega is doing his 4,000 mile service, so we're going to remove the spark plug and inspect it. All right, and then 8,000 miles you're supposed to replace it. So every 8,000 miles you want to replace it. So you're going to inspect it, replace it, inspect, and okay, and if it's fouled or it doesn't look good, there's something wrong with it, then just replace it. Okay. But yeah, so every 8,000 is when you want to do the spark plugs. Okay. So when I get to the next service at 8,000, that's when we will install this bad boy. Okay. All right. Okay, let's go take it out. Okay, so let's go remove this spark plug. All right. So the best way to get to it is if you kind of move the handlebars, move the handlebars to the right a little bit. All right, and then you can get access to it. Get the light up in there. Okay. All right, and then you'll see it right there. Okay. Got it? All right, so what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to remove the plug cap. All right, just kind of pull it and then just wiggle it a little bit and it should pop out. Okay. And get it out of the way somehow. There we go. Okay, and then you're going to go get a socket and remove it. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to get a 16 millimeter socket. All right, that's what this guy is right here, and it's got a teeny tiny little extension on it. And we're going to go remove it. Okay, I've never removed this before, so. Okay. Once it's loose, I'm just going to take the socket out. You probably don't even need to do that. Just take the socket out. Just turn it counterclockwise by hand. Okay, at some point you probably don't have to use the socket. There's a different view. Oh my, it's pretty long. It's a lot longer than I expected it to be. Alright, there's our spark plug. Okay, so there's our spark plug. Alright, so this is a Denso U20 EPR9. Okay, it's the Denso plug that the service manual specified. Okay, so that is my stock plug. All right, but we will be putting an NGK one when we hit the 8,000 miles. So what you're going to want to do is inspect the plug. All right. Okay, so what you're going to want to do is inspect the plug. Okay, take a look at it. That doesn't look too bad. It looks like it's got like some kind of rust on it or something. That doesn't look too good. All right, but yeah, you're going to want to look for like a kind of gray color. All right, that means that bike is operating properly. All right, it's a little whitish gray. I think it's fine. All right, and the electrode looks pretty clean. All right, I'm a little concerned about this rust stuff here. Well, I think it should be fine. All right, I think there's some water that got in the engine, you know, like condensation and stuff, and that's probably what that is. All right, that should probably burn off when you ride it. Okay, sorry this thing is not focusing. Okay, so one of the things you're going to want to do is check the gap. All right, that's the most important thing. So this looks clean. I'm not going to touch it. All right, so after 4,000 miles we're just going to check this guy. So we're going to check the spark plug gap now. All right, let's see if I can do this. Okay, so what you're going to want to do is get your 30, all right? Make sure it's bigger than 30, all right? So this is the 31. All right, and it fits in there fine and it still moves around. So it's more than 30. All right, it should move in with a slight drag. All right, so now we're going to go put our 30 .0, it's a .03 and a .1, all right? That makes it to a .04, all right, inches. And I can't put it in, okay? Okay, got it? It doesn't fit, so what that tells us is that the gap is more than 0.03 inches, but it's less than 0.04 inches. All right, so that means it's within spec, so we don't have to do anything. Okay, if we did, if the gap was too big, we'd have to make it smaller. All right, what I do is I just kind of hit the electrode until it goes down a little bit, and then I check with the gauge again. All right, if you need to make it bigger, what you can do is get some pliers or like a spark plug gapper. All right, it's just a little kind of lever type thing. You just stick it in there and you open it up. Okay, so if it's too small, you're going to open it up. If it's too short, you're going to shrink it. Okay, but in this case, it's within range, so I don't have to do anything to it. So all we did is inspect it. There's nothing wrong with it. Now we just put it back in. Okay. Okay, yeah. So one thing Hades Mega wants to point out is that over time, spark plug gaps become wider. All right, so if your spark plug has been in there for a long time, it may have a wider gap. All right, so the chances of you having to make the gap wider is less. Okay, so if your spark plug is getting old, the gap is getting wider, so that means you're going to have to make the gap smaller. Okay, so so this should be good. Let's put it back in. All right, here's we go. Okay, so in the service manual tells it different than the owner's manual. All right, so Hades Mega is going to do the owner's manual because he doesn't use torque when I put spark plugs back in. All right, I do exactly what the owner's manual does actually. Okay, but here it just says install hand tight spark plug to the cylinder head and then tighten the spark plug to the specified torque, 12 foot-pounds. Okay, so you're going to tighten it to 12 foot-pounds if you got a torque wrench. All right, Hades Mega has a torque wrench, but I don't install spark plugs using torque wrenches. Okay, so I use the method that's in the owner's manual. So it's tighten the spark plug. If the old spark plug is good, you turn 1/8 turn after it seats. So basically you're going to tighten it by hand, all right, until it seats. What I would do is tighten it until you feel like it feels snug, and then do 1/8 turn after. Okay, not a lot. All right, now if you're installing a new plug, so this is interesting, and this is true. All right, so I've never seen anybody outline this before, but this is true. All right, so first tighten the plug. An NGK, it's half a turn after it seats. All right, Denso, you want to turn 3/4 after it seats. It sounds like it's a freaking oil filter, right? And then you loosen the plug. All right, so basically there's a crush washer. Okay, if you look at the spark plug, there's this crush washer here, and what Honda is telling you is to crush this first, remove it, and then tighten it like you normally would. Okay, and then next tighten the plug again 1/8 turn after it seats. Okay, so that's exactly what we're going to do. But since this isn't a new plug, we're not going to do that. All right, but if it is a new plug, then you would do that. All right. Yeah, so typically what I would do is I would tighten it, and then when I feel the crush washer crushing, I would keep on going until it kind of bottoms out. It stops a little bit, and then I would go 1/8 more. All right. But what it's telling you to do is crush that washer first. All right, by going 1/2 turn or 3/4 turn after it seats. All right. And when it says when it seats, that means when you're what's the word? Yeah, when it kind of doesn't want to turn anymore, when it kind of bottoms out. Okay, but don't put a lot of torque in it. All right, you may strip the threads. All right, and then what you're going to want to do is tighten the plug again. So you're gonna you remove the plug or loosen it, you back it off, you go back in. All right, and then when it seats again, you go 1/8 turn more. Okay. Got it? All right, that's what we're going to do. Okay, before that, we're going to use our good old friend here, anti-seize compound. All right, so anti-seize compound keeps threads from seizing. All right, so the threads could get wet, rusty, that kind of thing, and the spark plug could stick to it, and it could possibly either shear the threads off or break the spark plug threads off too. Okay, so you don't want that. And to prevent that, Hades Mega always puts anti-seize compound on all his spark plugs. Okay, so just coat all the threads. Maybe you want to coat the sealing washer too a little bit. Okay, and then over time you'll get a good little coating on the inside, on the head, okay? All right, now it is ready to be installed. Make sure you don't get any on the electrode, okay? Oh yeah, so another thing is before we took the spark plug out, it would probably be a good idea to clean that area around it if it's dirty, okay? But in this case, my engine looks pretty damn clean. It's only got 4,000 miles on it. All right, so the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna tighten it by hand. All right, so stick it in there. Just make sure you're not cross-threading it. Just kind of feel around. This thing is having trouble. And that's why I put the anti-seize compound too, so it goes in a little smoother. There we go. Okay. Tighten it by hand. It doesn't help that all these plastic shields and stuff are here now. Okay, and then go ahead and get your socket once it gets harder to thing. Okay, it's kind of, it just stopped. Okay, so one of the things Hazemega does when he installs spark plugs is I use a stubby ratchet, alright? So that's what I will be using, okay? So basically I'm just gonna tighten it until it kind of stops, like it is right now, okay? It's not really wanting to move with a little too much force, so that means the spark plug is properly seated. It's really easy to do on this spark plug because this is the old spark plug, okay? If it feels like it wants to keep on going and you're still putting a little bit of force to it, let it keep on going, and then eventually it'll just stop. It won't want to move anymore like it is right now, okay? So now all we got to do is go 1/8 turn, all right? So I can probably do this with one hand. Okay. Just like that, okay? That should be good. And then go ahead and put the plug cap back on. Okay, make sure it's all the way down and snug, and that should be good. All right, and then you probably want to fire your bike up to make sure it runs. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and start the bike up. Okay, and it runs fine. And stuff is falling off my bike because it vibrates so much. Okay, that's probably not good for the spark plug to just fire it up and turn it off. That's probably why the spark plug is so wet. Okay, so that was another Honda Super Cub C125 video on how to inspect and replace your spark plugs. All right, we did the inspection and the replacement but I didn't replace it. All right, I didn't have to replace it. Every 8,000 miles you should replace it. All right, or if it looks like it's dirty or damaged, or if it looks like it's fouled. If it's rusting, and if it doesn't look proper, just replace it. All right, it's not very expensive, all right, to replace a spark plug. All right, so yeah, there it is. Hope you guys learned something. Thanks for watching. That's how to inspect and replace the spark plug on your Honda Super Cub C125. All right, gives me out.